What's going on, Bay Area? I just added some more sand to the tank, and it's cloudy as heck, of course. Need to vacuum the floor now. I already did a water change, so kind of shot myself in the foot there. Took the A-series mounts off of the tank and made a mount out of 80/20. So I think I like it better. You're not going to get a very good representation, but because of the tank's cloudy. But before, I had a mount coming up on this side and a mount coming up on this side, and now there's one mount coming up from behind the tank, and the Kessils are hanging off of it. So all in all, I like it. It looks good, I think. So got quite a bit done on the tank today. The light mount took a little bit longer than what I expected. So thought I'd start a live stream. It's been a while since I've done a live stream. I did test. I'm using Red Sea Coral Pro salt, and you know, I'm real bad about testing parameters, but I tested my alkalinity in the tank before I did a water change. It was 8.4, and then the alkalinity in my 5-gallon bucket of salt that had been mixing up for about 2 hours was 12.8. So I'm going to test tonight, tomorrow, and the next couple days to monitor the alkalinity. Try to keep a grasp on it a little bit. It's not so much of a concern for me right now because there's not a lot of coral in the tank, but it will be at some point. I did, I don't know how well this is going to come up on the camera if I don't drop the camera, but I did put some pond matrix, all of my, or not all of it, but a pretty good amount of my pond matrix in the reactor that I have on my manifold. So I know I was slacking there for a while getting some stuff done, and I've kind of made up for it. Try to get some of this stuff out of the way, and then I can move the camera back. And it's quiet in the house right now. That's another reason there's a live stream going on. But I probably added 2 cups, or excuse me, let me look. So it's a liter, 4 cups, probably added 3 more liters of sand to the tank. The sand in the front was pretty shallow, so I'm not having any nitrate issues, no. The phosphates, I tested that with the phosphorus checker, and they're at 20. So I need to test those again. Now granted, I've pulled the carbon and GFO off the tank about 3 weeks ago probably. I am running a single bag of carbon just because it came with my Red Sea Coral Pro salt. It was in the box, so I threw it in the tank. But I'm not running any GFO, so I expected the phosphates to go up. And honestly, I don't mind that simply because the algae scrubber. And the algae scrubber is starting to grow algae, so that's good. To kind of combat the cloudiness and to kind of help with it, I do have an air pump and an air stone going, so I guess you could say this tank is going through the bubbling method right now. But that guy in the middle of the screen, well, he's to the right now on the sand bed. It's that Melanoris wrasse, and he just swam off. I'm probably butchering it. But that thing is badass. I mean, the glass was completely covered with flatworms and it's gone. Ari says, just ask because the pond matrix and more sand, figure you're trying to balance out your beneficial bacteria. I added more sand just because the sand bed in the front of the tank was real shallow. So you can kind of see over on the right hand or the left hand side in the back there. The sand was pretty deep and I didn't touch that, and then I kind of had it shallow up front for, I just kind of done that. I didn't know how it would look. And I'd really like to get a couple more wrasses, so I decided to go ahead and add the sand and get done with the cloudiness. The pond matrix was already in the system. It was just in a bag. So I don't have any plans on running carbon or GFO full time. So I decided that since I put the reactor on my manifold, I would just put the media bag full of pond matrix inside of the reactor. But yeah, I'd like to get at least another wrasse or two. I have to say that, excuse me, I'm overall thrilled. God dang. Overall thrilled. Show the sump. So, of course, the Nyos skimmer, I cleaned the crap out of it today, and that's fine. It'll start producing skimmate here in maybe a day, maybe less than that, but for sure a couple days. And then the pond matrix that is in here was in a media bag here, so I put it in that reactor. And then I actually have, it's probably hard to see, but that's the drain section, and I have pond matrix in there. Of course, the Neptune auto feeder. And then the Rain 2, probably going to be hard for me to get, but you can see it's growing algae and spraying water everywhere. But it's working. And I really like this idea of using the Murloc line because it's flexible. So I'm glad that I did that versus trying to even hard plumb that at all. You can see that board that's back there painted white with the bolts coming out of it. That's what I have my 80/20 mounted to. And the 80/20 is nothing fancy. It's a 48 inch section going all the way down, so there's actually a gap between it and the tank. The Kessil lights are mounted with the 90-degree adapter, and it's really hard to see back here because it's so dark. Let me get a flashlight. So the 90 has got a washer in it and then screwed into the 80/20, and then a bracket zip tied, and then Velcro ties with as much of the cables hidden into the 80/20 track that I could get. But from this standpoint, you can't even see any of the ties, and that's probably about as good as I can get any of the cables wrapped up. Now if you stand over top of it, you can see it, but you know, to be honest with you, and I mentioned this in my last video, if somebody comes over and looks at the tank, they're not going to be paying attention to that. And one of the things that I was stressed out and working out a lot on was the sump area. And again, the only people that are ever going to see this are me and you guys, and that's it. So I did fill up the auto top off. I've actually been running it at about 7 or 8 gallons and that'll last me like a week and a half ish, something like that. So that auto top off container was definitely a good purchase. And the other reason, I'll point to the auto feeder, the other reason why I wanted to get rid of the Kessil arms is because now, you know, the light rack looks fine, I think, but I can actually mount the auto feeder on top of the light rack because I'm now a little bit smarter in the hobby, and I have this screen top that fits perfect. Maybe it does fit perfect. I just have to, it's hard to do with one hand. So of course I notched it out, but it, you know, with the screen top, you're always wondering, how am I going to feed the fish with an auto feeder, because this top sits flush. That might be a better view. Sits flush to the tank. So now I could mount the auto feeder on top of the 8020, plug in the USB cable, reset the feeding schedule, go about my business. So, but yeah, it's cloudy, and I have my air pump plugged into the wall there. So shout out to Reef Dudes. I don't know if you guys know who he is or not, but this is the aPump. I bought the Maxi. I bought the one with the 2 outlets. It is dead quiet, and it does a pretty good job of scrubbing the tank, I have to say. So I've not been running it a lot, just here and there. The air stone is down there making bubbles. See if I can flip this around. Get it back on the tripod there. So I'm pretty much done with the tank for today. I'm gonna let it clear up, then I'll clean the glass. Yeah, that pump's running right now. When I was holding it in my hand a second ago, the pump was running, or it is running still. And you can't hear it. And the only reason that you can hear water trickling right now is just because the cabinet door's open, and that's the scrubber. You know, I don't know anything about it, the whole bubble scrubbing stuff. I can't say that it is working, and I can't say that it isn't working. So the only reason that I'm running it right now is just because the tank's cloudy from the dust. And if the theory of the bubbles in the tank pulling debris and whatnot to the surface is true, then the bubbles, in my eyes anyway, the bubbles should help clear the tank up from the sand that I just put in there. Is it working? I don't know. The tank's still pretty cloudy, but it's better than it was, I suppose. So I can't, I don't know the answer to the question. All I know is I had the air stones a long time ago, and I had a different air pump. I just never hooked it up or ran it. And I try to run it maybe a couple times a week. I'm not real adamant about making sure that I'm scrubbing this tank for anything. I make sure that I do 5-gallon water changes every week, either on Saturday or Sunday. And I'm going to test my alkalinity more. If there's a problem still with the alkalinity and it's dropping, then I'm going to step the water changes up. And I've been using Red Sea Coral Pro Salt. I'm going to start digging into it a little bit more. I know whenever I had my other tanks, I used Instant Ocean, and it's like $20, or excuse me, it's $50 for $50 for 200 gallons, and the Red Sea Coral Pro is, I think, 160 gallons at $70. And frankly, I don't care about the Red Sea buckets. They're junk. They're real thin. pull the salt out of it, and I put it in my own bucket, and I throw that bucket away. So, you know, I'm not paying extra money for the bucket. So, long story short, I'm going to address what salt I really want to use, especially if I have to start doing multiple water changes. You know, a water change on the weekend and a water change through the week. I'll probably go back to the Red Sea, or excuse me, the Instant Ocean. That pump, it's called aPump. If you go back to any of my videos, I have links to pretty much all of the equipment that I use in all of my videos, and the pumps should be in there. It should be, but Amazon has it. It's $20, $24, something like that. It's relatively cheap, and it does its job. It's quiet, but I have it plugged into a wall outlet right now. It's for me, the downfall is the fact that the plug-in's pretty short, and the power bar for my Apex is too far away, so I can't run it on a specific schedule. Do I see any more worms? I actually added I'm going to butcher it again, but I added the Melanoris wrasse to this tank, and I'd completely forgot about the flatworms. I'd gone on about my life, paid a little attention to the tank, but I just forgot about it. And then, you know, about a week later, I looked, and the flatworms are gone. So my suggestion, if you have flatworms, is get a Melanoris wrasse, because that thing, it did what it was supposed to do.